The small town of Hollow Creek was asleep. Streetlights cast an orange glow on empty sidewalks. Inside her cozy apartment, Sarah hummed along to the radio, preparing dinner. Rain pattered softly against the windows, a comforting rhythm. It was a typical Tuesday evening, peaceful and unremarkable. Sarah glanced at the clock. It was 7:45 p.m. She smiled, picturing her friend Emily's face when she arrived for their weekly dinner date. Emily was always late, but her infectious laughter made up for it. Sarah took a deep breath, inhaling the aroma of garlic and herbs. Life was good, or so she thought. A flicker of movement caught Sarah's eye. She turned, heart skipping a beat. On the wall, cast by the hallway light, a shadow danced. It was the shape of a tall figure, elongated and distorted. Sarah froze, her breath catching in her throat. Had something moved in the hallway? She strained to listen, but only the gentle hum of the refrigerator broke the silence. "Just the wind," she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. Taking a deep breath, she stepped closer to the wall, her hand reaching out to flick on the hallway light. The shadow vanished. Sarah stood there for a moment, her heart pounding in her chest. She scanned the hallway, but it was empty. With a nervous laugh, she chided herself for being jumpy. It was just a trick of the light, she reasoned. Still, a shiver ran down her spine. Minutes stretched into an eternity. The silence of the apartment, once comforting, now pressed in on Sarah. Every creak of the floorboards, every sigh of the wind against the window pane sent a jolt of fear through her. Then, she heard it. A soft, shuffling sound coming from her bedroom. Her blood ran cold. The bedroom door was slightly ajar, and she could have sworn she saw the shadow again, darker this time, lurking just beyond the threshold. Fear coiled in her stomach, cold and tight. She couldn't dismiss it anymore. Someone, or something, was inside her apartment. Sarah's hand trembled as she reached for her phone. Her fingers fumbled over the keys, struggling to dial Emily's number. She needed to hear a friendly voice, needed reassurance that she wasn't going crazy. The phone seemed to ring forever before Emily's cheerful voicemail message broke through. "Emily, it's me! Pick up, please!" Sarah whispered urgently into the phone. There was no answer. She tried again, her voice tight with panic. Still nothing. Desperation clawed at her throat. She was alone, trapped with what? She couldn't bring herself to say it out loud. The shuffling sound came again, closer this time, followed by a soft thud. It was coming from the bedroom closet. Sarah's eyes darted to the closed bedroom door, her imagination painting terrifying images in the darkness. She backed away slowly, her gaze fixed on the door, her phone clutched tightly in her hand. "It's just the wind," she whispered again, trying to convince herself. But the words rang hollow even to her own ears. The air grew heavy, charged with an unseen presence. She could feel her heart pounding in her chest, a frantic drumbeat against her ribs. Suddenly the bedroom door swung open with a bang. Sarah gasped, her back hitting the wall. The shadow, no longer a fleeting glimpse, stood in the doorway. It was taller than she remembered, its edges sharp and defined. It seemed to pulsate with a life of its own, a void in the shape of a man. Terror flooded Sarah's senses, paralyzing her. She wanted to scream, to run, but her voice caught in her throat, her legs turned to lead. The shadow moved, gliding towards her, its form rippling like smoke. It was slow, deliberate, relishing her fear. As the shadow reached out, its form shifting into a grotesque hand, Sarah finally found her voice. A scream, raw and primal, tore from her lungs. She squeezed her eyes shut, bracing for the inevitable, but the touch never came. The sound of keys rattling in the lock jolted Sarah back to reality. She opened her eyes to see Emily rushing in, her face etched with concern. "Sarah, what's wrong? I heard you screaming all the way down the hall." The apartment was empty. The shadow was gone. Sarah looked around, her breath ragged, her body trembling. Had it all been a hallucination? A figment of her overactive imagination? She wanted to believe it, but deep down she knew the truth. Emily put a comforting arm around Sarah's shoulders. "It's okay, I'm here now," she said softly. But despite Emily's reassuring words, a chill settled over Sarah. The shadow might be gone, but the feeling of dread, the certainty that something was terribly wrong, lingered in the air, a constant reminder of the unseen guest that had invaded her home and her peace of mind.